Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Stanat. Hope you're all having a very nice day. So today we are going to see basic chess videos, like the basics and the basic tutorials in chess. So beginning with the pawn. A pawn is always situated one after like on the second row, and for the other color black it's situated on the 7th row. So basically pawns will be like this for black, and for white it will be in a straight line like this. So hope you all understood how the pawn structure will be. Now beginning with our tutorial, we are going to start just with one pawn. In the starting, a pawn can move 2 steps forward, and then it can continue to move only 1 step. At the end, when it reaches the end, you can promote that pawn into any piece you like other than the king and the pawn itself. For example, you can promote to a queen, which is normally done. Sometimes to avoid stalemate, we convert to a rook. Sometimes with a bishop, to suppose there's a last move and you have another just a pawn, like to just get converted to a bishop, and then it's a checkmate. Sometimes like that. Sometimes converted to a knight, as I've shown it in my puzzle yesterday, to fork the king and the queen, which was like this. And yes, so these are the only pieces which you can promote. So moving on, when you have a pawn and when opponent's pawn has also moved, the opponent's pawn will be here, your pawn will be here. When white starts the game, white moves the pawn 2 steps forward. It's your wish, you can even move your pawn 1 step forward. Just for the tutorial's sake, I'm just moving it 2 steps forward. Suppose black also moves his pawn 2 steps forward, and this alignment is there, this cross alignment. Okay, and now if it's white's turn, then white just gobbles up the pawn and he just has a pawn advantage. Now going on, suppose it was black's turn, then black can just take this pawn and he can have a pawn advantage. So hope you all understood what a pawn does. And one fundamental rule of chess is that white always begins first, followed by black. Okay, now moving on with the knight. There are 4 knights in a game. Both the knights are all on the G file and the B file. So hope you all understood. So this is how the knights will be arranged on the G file and on the B file. Hope you all can see here. So now we are going to begin on how a knight moves. A knight moves in an L shape. So this is the first position where the green square is pointing. First position, second position, third position, and it can take an L. So it can go to the right or it can go to the left. Okay, I hope you all understood. So this is 1, 2, 3 left, or 1, 2, 3 right. So, and there are 2 more positions. Suppose a knight is situated here. Okay, so let's just keep that a knight comes here because of the 1, 2, 3 L pattern. 1, 2, 3 left, so the knight can come here. So now we are going to see a knight can move to many directions. It's very useful in a game, most importantly in an end game. So a knight can move in like, okay, see guys, so this 1, 2, 3 left, a knight can move from here to here, or a knight can move 1, 2, 3 right. It can move from here to there. So I'm just putting the positions where the knight can move. You can see these 2 circles. Okay, so now the same way but in horizontal way. 1, 2, 3 up, or 1, 2, 3 down. So a knight can move like this too. Here, and here, as we have seen earlier. Now moving on, the knight can move like this also. 1, 2, 3 up, or 1, 2, 3 down. So these are the other 2 places. So till now we have seen these places. Now moving on, we are going to go to the last place. So 1, 2, 3 left, 1, 2, 3 right. So these are the squares where a knight can move. A knight can basically move 8 squares from where it is. Suppose it is here, then it can only move 2 or 3 steps in the max, because 1, 2, 3 right, this is one square, 1, 2, 3 left, this is another square, and 1, 2, 3 up, as we have seen. So these are the 3 squares where a knight can move from where it is located. Similarly to this knight also, 1, 2, 3 right, followed by 1, 2, 3 left, then followed by 1, 2, 3 up. So these are the positions where a knight can occupy. The same thing for the black knight also. So it can come like this: 1, 2, 3 left, 1, 2, 3 right, 1, 2, 3 left, 1, 2, 3 right, 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3 down, up. So these are the positions of a knight. Hope you all understood how a knight moves. Now moving on to the game, we are going to take a bishop now. So basically we'll take 2 bishops. Bishops are normally placed on the F file and the C file. So even black's bishops are arranged just like that. So a bishop can move in any diagonal. See, for a person, they will have 2 colored bishops. You will notice that this is a white colored bishop because it's situated on the white square, and this is a black colored bishop because it is situated on the black square. So similarly, it's even for black. So this bishop is on the white and this bishop is on the black. So a bishop can move slanting. So it can move how many of steps it wants? Slanting ways. Suppose a pawn is here. I have taught you all how a pawn moves. In the starting, a pawn can move 1 step forward or even 2 steps forward. So now suppose the white moves 1 step forward, then this white bishop can move slanting, right? So this white bishop can kill this pawn. But that would be a foolish idea, because this bishop is also a white bishop because it's situated on the white square. So now suppose it moves on the diagonals, it can move in these squares, and it can even move on these squares. So because this bishop is there and it's white's turn, white can simply kill this bishop, having a 3-point advantage. 3-point advantage. So the same for the black bishop also. A black bishop can move slanting like this. A black bishops cannot move sleeping like this, or they can't go standing or vertically, horizontally like this. They can only move in these positions like this. Eventually in an end game, you would be left with, suppose you are left with bishops on the center of the board. Suppose your bishops come here, like from here to there you can bring your bishops. You can even bring your bishops from here to here. So now suppose your bishops are here, your bishops can even move backwards, because that is also counted as a slanting diagonal, right? Yes. So this bishop can move like this, and the white bishop can move like this, as you all can see on a6, b5, c4, d3, e2 and f1 for the white bishop. Suppose it's on this position, obviously it can't move to d3 because it's already on the position. For the black bishop, it is c1, d2 and then f4, followed by g5 and followed by h6. So hope you all understood. A bishop can move slanting. This is what we have learned now. Okay, moving on, we are going to see how a rook works. A rook is always positioned on the A file, and it's also positioned on the H file. So a rook is a little bit a kind of opposite to what a bishop moves. As we have seen, a bishop can't move horizontally and vertically, whereas rook can. But rook cannot move diagonally. Hope you all understood. So a rook can move sleeping or horizontally, and a rook can even move standing. So normally many pro chess players try avoiding. I'm sorry, I don't know. Normally many pro chess players don't expose their pawns because, see, this is how a pawn structure would be, as I have told you all. As we know that knight is situated on the G file and the B file, the bishops are situated on the F file and the C file. The middle two spots will be covered in a while because that involves the king and queen. I have a short trick for you all based on where they both come. Okay, so in a game like this, white should open. So suppose white opens with the G file and black opens with the F file. I'm sorry, suppose black opens with the H file. White always tries to protect the pawn. So if this pawn takes, as we have seen, a pawn can take any item or any piece in chess basically diagonally. So if this pawn takes this, because white has to regain his material, he also takes back. But then now it's black's turn and it exposes this and it exposes the H file. So this black rook happily grabs the white rook, having a 5-point advantage, and can cause severe destruction to the row 1. Therefore, international players or very good players like Magnus Carlsen don't go by opening with the G file. So hope this is clear for you all. Now moving on to the next piece, that is the queen. Queen is the most favorite piece of all of us, but it can be little dangerous sometimes because it can even cause a stalemate. I will tell you all what is a stalemate, what is a checkmate, what is en passant. I'll teach you all. Okay, so now we are starting with the queen. I'm sorry, this is not the queen, this is the queen. So black queen will always be positioned on the black spot. So, and it will always be on this eighth row. So which is the, as we all know, okay, I'll show you guys a demo. As we all know, for black, all the 7th row will be full of pawns. I have told you that the rooks are positioned on the H file and the A file. The knights are positioned on the G file and the B file. The bishops are positioned on the C file and the F file. Now the only two spots which are remaining are the black spot and the white spot. Now the trick is that the black queen goes on the black spot, thereby the black queen comes here. Okay, so now the same thing for white also. First I'm arranging all the pawns like so. Then I'm taking the knights on the G file and the B file, followed up by the bishops on the F file and the C file, then by the rooks on the H file and the A file. Now with the queen, see, for white to arrange, it's a little bit easy because white queen goes on the white spot and black queen goes on the black spot. That is a tactic which I taught you all. Or else, suppose one of your members have already arranged, you can just position your queen exactly on the same file. For example, the black has positioned his queen on D file. Therefore, you can also position your queen on the D file. So it is just the same arrangement: white queen on the white spot and black queen on the black spot. Now the only piece which is remaining is the king, and you all know that the king obviously goes to the leftover square, that is this white, and the white king goes to the leftover square, that is the black spot. Okay, moving on. Since I didn't teach you all how a queen moves, I will be teaching it to you now. Okay, so in a game there'll be two queens like this. In like after a game is over or nearly is going to be over, the queens will be in different positions. Suppose they are like this, a queen can move in all the directions, every single direction, how many ever steps they want, how many ever. So it's basically a bishop and a rook combined together make a queen, because bishop moves slanting, so this queen also can move slanting, as you all can see on all these green color spots. A rook can move, suppose it's situated on the AF file, then it can move in all these spaces, as you all can see. And suppose it's located on F3, then it can go here. Suppose it's located on F3, then it can even go horizontally as shown. So these are the squares covered by a queen. So a queen can move from here to here, 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 from any position it wants. Even slanting I can show. Suppose the queen is there, then it can even come to this H1 from A8, because it's totally diagonal, as you all can see. So a queen can move like that. Suppose the queen is positioned on H1 towards the endgame, then the queen can go towards from H1 to G1 to F1 to E1 to D1 to C1 to B1 to A1. So any position it likes. It can even come from H1 to D1, or from H1 to F1, or from H1 to A1, B1, or to from H1 to A1. So any position, even including standing. So H1 to G2 to C3 to D4. So H1 to G2 to F3 to E4 to D5 to C6 to B7 to A8. So the queen can move in all these positions. So moving on to the black queen can also move in the same directions as I told you previously. So the black queen can move like this, it can even come like this. So hope you all understood. So I'll teach you one trick. Is basically like a carom trick. 1 minute. So I'm sorry. So this queen can move it can move horizontally or vertically or in the slanting direction. Hope you all understood. So this is commonly known as the carom trick, which most of the players kind of know. So the queen can come from so basically in this carom trick it will come all over, creating a diamond or a rectangle and coming back to its place. So please see. So from D8 it can move to C7 to B6 to A5. Now it has moved from here to here. Next, so from A5 to B4 to C3 to D2 to E1 it can come again. So like this. So our queen was here, it came from there to here and then came from there to here. Now again, as we know that the queen moves slanting, it can move from E1 to F2 to G3 to H4. So it can move from this position to this position. Following on, the same thing applies even here, diagonally coming back to the same position where the queen was. So a queen was here, it came to, so queen was on D8, then came to A5, then came to E1, and then again went back to H4 and then back to the same position D8. So this is commonly known as the carom trick. Okay, now moving on, I'm going to give you a task to arrange your own chessboards if you have at home or arrange it online. So you can see that the pawns are all placed on the second row and the 7th row of black and white. Then comes the knights, following same thing for black. Comes the rooks on the A file and the H file. I'm doing the same for white. I'm sorry, that's the queen. Okay, so this is the rooks. These are the rooks. Next comes the bishop on the F and C file. So F and C files. Then the remaining position, as I've told, the black queen on the black spot, the white queen on the white spot. The remaining one is the king, so the king obviously comes here, and our white king also comes here. So this is how a normal chess piece or a chess board is normally arranged. Hope you all understood this. So now moving on, I'm just going to clear all of this. So we are going to see what a stalemate is, what a checkmate is, and what is an en passant. So moving on with the en passant. Suppose, as you all know, the pawns are all like this in all these positions. Just for the tutorial, I'm taking two pawns, one on the H file and one on the G file. So suppose a pawn already moves forward like this. I'm sorry, it can move two steps. So suppose it comes like this, and suppose black moves with some other pawn. Then supposing our pawn has to come forward. Okay, so from H2 to H4 to H5. Suppose black wants to copy us by moving his G pawn to G5. So you can capture this pawn. Okay, that is known as en passant. So if you have a doubt about en passant, then I'm gonna teach it again. So an en passant is nothing but when two pawns are there, one pawn, for example, a pawn has moved from H2 to H4, and then the same pawn moves to H5. Then suppose this pawn should already be here. Then after our pawn is here, if black's pawn come to G5, then our white pawn can just capture, and we can just capture it. So suppose the position was like this for white. Supposing the white pawn had already come here. Suppose the position is like, I'm sorry, I'm extremely sorry, guys. Yeah. So supposing the pawn is like this. Okay, the pawn has already come here, and after this pawn comes to G5, after that maybe some exchange happens in the game. Keep it like that. At this position, white cannot capture the pawn because black in the first place has only moved his pawn. So hope you all understood. In the first case, first white pawn has come, then he moves some other pawn, and then again we move to H5, and then he comes here. First our white pawn has moved, whereas here the black pawn has already moved first, and then coming with the exchange of our white pawn, we can't capture the G6. We can't go to G6 because the pawn on G has already traveled first compared to the black. So this is known as en passant. So moving on, we are going to see what a checkmate is. I will be uploading checkmate videos with a queen, two queens, trying to make sure that there is no stalemate, two rooks, one rook, two bishops, a knight and a bishop, two knights, and a pawn and a king, or many pawns and a king. Suppose all the material on the chessboard is exchanged and only the two kings are remaining, then it's known as a draw. There are some things like all the material is exchanged off by capturing. White captures on black and black again recaptures on white, and only these two lonely kings are left. Kings cannot be captured in a game, please understand. Then kings cannot come near each other. I'm sorry guys, I've not discussed the position of kings, so I'm gonna discuss that now. So the two kings are placed like this. A king can only move one step from the position it is to all the positions. Suppose the white king is placed on e3, then this e3 king can move to d4 or e4 or f4 or f3 or d3 or e2 or d2 or even f2. So it basically covers all these positions but only in one step. Hope you all understood. So suppose a pawn of black is here and the white king from here comes one step here. Suppose the black pawn is going to promote in another one step to a queen or whatever piece he wants, because at the end of every row only the 8th row and the first row can they promote. This black is going to come to the first row to promote to a queen. As we all know that king occupies these positions, so the white king simply captures on the pawn, so he'll be left with a pawn of advantage. Now coming to the points of each. When you get a pawn, you get 1 point. When you take a knight, you get 3 points. When you take a bishop, you get 3 points. And magnificently, when you get a rook, suppose by a bishop from your white bishop, suppose you come here, then as we all know, the bishop can move slanting, killing the rook. It can give you 5 points. And the most powerful in the whole game is known as the queen. That can give you 9 points. So 9 points. Suppose you kill your queen by some fork. I will show you a fork now. A fork is nothing but when it takes 2 pieces just in one go. That can be done by knights and bishops. Suppose the black knight is here. As we all know, and I've taught you all, the knights can move in an L shape. So 1, 2, 3 left, 1, 2, 3 left. So it just forks it. Now I will teach you what a check is, what a stalemate is, what a checkmate is, and then I will go about with the forks. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you what a check is. Suppose we have our white king here and the opponent's knight is here. Imagine. See, as we all know, the knight travels in an L shape. So 1, 2, 3 left. So see guys, suppose a bishop is here. I have taught you all 1, 2, 3 left. So this knight can take this bishop, and as I have discussed, bishop has 3 points. The black gets 3 points. Okay, so now supposing, see, in a game the king cannot be captured no matter what. So this knight is going to capture this king. Okay, but a king cannot be captured. So when the knight's destination place, that is this 1, 2, 3 left, its destination place is DE1. I will teach you the coordinates. So this is E, this is the E row, this is the first row, and so this is the E1 spot. So suppose the knight on F3, its destination is on E1, then it's known as a check. Not necessarily only D3, F3 and E1. Suppose the white king is on the E3 square and the knight is on the F5 square, then also it's a check, because 1, 2, 3 left. So its destination point is on E3 and thereby it's a check for white. Now, how to react when there's a check? Suppose there is a check, you have to move your king somewhere else, or you can capture it. So as we all know, the king can move in all these positions. Generally in this position we move our king to e4 or to f4, because when the king is here, king can capture anything one step near it. So suppose this knight is here, it can capture this knight because it's only one step away. So these are the positions of a king. It can capture this because it is on around the king's radius. So this king can capture the knight. Okay, so that's why we generally, international players, when they are here, they go to the f4 or the e4, threatening this. Suppose they come to f4, then as we all know, these are the positions. So since the f5 knight is on the radius of the king placed on f4, the knight is threatened. Thereby we have to move our knight to you guys know where to move it. I have taught you the knight position. So 1 2 3 left, or 1 2 3 right. It can come here also, or 1 2 3 down and 1 2 3 down, or it can even come here and here respectively as 1 2 3 up, 2 3 down. It can even come here and here, but these are dangerous spots. Now you guys have to comment below telling why knight f2 e3 and knight f2 g3 are dangerous positions. I will tell the answer in the next video or the upcoming video. As I have taught you these positions, you should even tell me why knight f to d4 and knight f to h4 and knight f to g3 and knight f to e3. These four positions are dangerous. I'm sorry, this position is not dangerous. h4 is not dangerous. So please comment below on why these three positions are very dangerous for black's knight. I will give you a heart in the comment section below. Okay, so now we have seen what a check is. The same thing applies even with a bishop. Suppose the bishop is placed like here as it's normally placed. So just so when the bishop from f8 goes to c5, but so this bishop's destination places are b6, a7, and then d4, e3, f2 and g1. So these are the destination squares of a bishop. So but then, since the king is on the destination spot of the bishop, this is known as a check, because the next move, if the king does not move, then the bishop just captures the king. But in a game we cannot capture the king, as I mentioned. So this is known as a check, and white has to move the king, or he can even block. Supposing he has a knight here. Supposing white has a knight on f3, then knight f3 can block the check. So I'm teaching you how to block a check too. So this knight is on f3, this knight can come to d4. So I will tell you how, because 1 2 3 up or 1 2 3 down. So knight can come to here to the spots known as d2 and d4. So when this knight comes to d4, it is blocking the check. So as you all can see, the bishop's destination point is no longer e3, because the knight is acting as a barrier. Okay, so I will teach you many more tactics in the upcoming videos in my Amado Artisanat channel. So please subscribe for many videos and turn on the notification bell. Okay, so now we are going to see a check with a rook. Suppose a rook is on h8, the rook can come to e8. Since the rook's destination points are e7, e6, e5, e4, e3, e2 and e1. The king is on e3 and one of the rook's destination points is e3. It gives a check, and if white does not move, he captures the king. But as I have mentioned, we cannot capture the king, thereby white can block the check, or he should move his king. In this example, we will try to move our king to one of these spots. So the king cannot come here and here. I want this reason in the comment section below. So hope you all will reply in the comment section below. If you don't understand, then please write in the comment section below. I will see it and I will explain it in the next video. So please comment in the comment section below, as I mentioned earlier, why the king can come to e2 and e4. I'll show you, these all are the positions of the king. The king cannot come to e4 and the king cannot come to e2. So we just take those positions off from by the circle, green color circle. So the king can move in any of these 6 positions according to the game and wherever he feels it's safer. So generally when a king is there with opponent's king and the rook, we generally try to occupy these 4 squares as they are the center. So we generally come to d4, because supposing black does not know how to checkmate with a rook, then it would be a little bit advantageous for you guys, because you can just occupy the center. So I will teach you all how to checkmate with 1 rook, 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, 1 knight and a bishop, 1 queen, 2 queens, everything in a safe manner. So I will teach this to you in the upcoming videos in my channel. So in this position, it's always better to go to the center squares, which I will even name the center squares. So they are d5, e5, e4 and d4. So these are the 4 most center squares. Hope you all understood. Okay, so now we are going to go with the checkmate. Supposing a king is cornered and the rook has come from e8 to supposing h1. Okay, so supposing it's like this, then where can the king move? The king can't move anywhere. You know why? Because these are the only 3 squares for the king. These are the only 3 squares for the king, because king can move only 1 step in every direction. There is no square below a1. Therefore, these are the only 3 squares for white to go. Now, we will see why white cannot come to the squares b1, b2 and a2. So, as I've discussed earlier, why the king can't come to a2, that is because one king cannot come to the other king. In the similar reason, the a king cannot come to b2 because this king is near the other king. This cannot happen in a game. So we have ruled out these 2 options. Now coming to the last square, that is b1. Suppose the king moves to b1. The rook's destination point is in a1, b1, c1, d1, e1, f1 and g1. Since one of the destination points is b1, since one of the destination points are b1, see, the king was in a1, the king is on the rook's destination point, that is a1. Now suppose the king moves to b1, then also it's in the destination point. So the rook happily captures on b1. As we all know that the king does not have any squares to go and the king cannot be captured in a game, Since the king does not have any squares to go, the only squares are these 3 squares. Since the king cannot go to all these 3 squares, it is known as a checkmate. The same way, see, some people get confused with checkmate and stalemate. So I will explain this difference to you all at the end of the video. So, supposing it is like, wait, I will take a queen for the stalemate. Okay, suppose this is the position. Where and all can the king move? You guys tell me. So the king can move to c1, e1, then e2, d2 and c2. Now we are going to rule out all these options one by one. Okay, so the king can't come to c1, as we all know that the king is there and one king cannot come to the other. That is one reason. The other reason is that, as we all know, that queen travels in a slanting way or in diagonals like the bishop. The king is on the queen's destination point, thereby it's a check and the king cannot come there. So this option is ruled out. Now we are going to rule out even c2 because one king cannot come to the other, and this position can never be in a chess history or in a chess game. So these 2 squares are ruled out. Now supposing the d king comes to e1, the d king cannot come to e1 because the king E is on the destination point of the queen on e3. Therefore, this square is also ruled out. In the similar manner, the king cannot go to e2 because it's again on the destination point of the queen. So these options are all ruled out. Lastly, d2 is the only option, but that will also be ruled out because suppose the king moves to d2, then the queen can travel to all these squares as shown here. So as you all can see, these are the positions where a queen can travel when it's on the square e3. So the spots on green color are the squares where the queen can travel. Now the king is in the destination point of the queen, thereby this square can also not be accomplished. Okay, so the king can't move anywhere, and after supposing the black queen was here and the black queen comes from e8 to e3, next is white's turn. As we all know, in chess, one move is played by white and the other is played by black. So since black made his move from e8 to e3, white has to move now. White does not have any squares to go, any legal squares to go. As we all have discussed, we have even ruled out the positions. Therefore, when a king does not have any squares to go, it does not end by a check. Now see, in this position, as I discussed with you all, the king cannot go anywhere. That is the similarity between checkmate and stalemate. But then in a checkmate, the rook is giving a check on a1, whereas in the position which we just recently saw, which was like this, I'm sorry guys, my voice is a bit like that because I've been recording this maybe, I don't know, 45-minute video or something. I don't know guys, I'm extremely sorry. So as we have seen that the positions there in stalemate, it has ended without a check. Here the king the queen from e8 has come to e3. Now it's white's turn. White cannot move here to c1 or c2 or d2 or e2 or e1. Therefore, this is a stalemate. The white king does not have any squares to go, and this stalemate, the move which I have shown you till now, it's not a check. This is not a check because the king is not in the queen's path. So I'm just taking these squares, so the queen can travel. I'm just taking this in these 9 squares. In these 9 squares, the queen can come here. The queen cannot come in the squares that are highlighted as shown. So the queen cannot come to c2 and the queen cannot come to d1. But then it is white's turn. Where can the white come? He can't come anywhere. It's not a check also because the white king is not on the black queen's destination. It's not a check. The white king cannot move. It's known as a stalemate. It is a check. I'll show the position which I showed you previously. Now the king does not have any positions to go, and it is a check by this rook on c1. Then it is known as a checkmate. Suppose a game ends with a checkmate, then it's commonly known as you won the game. Suppose the game is known as stalemate or a draw, wherein all the pieces are exchanged and only the 2 kings are remaining on the board, then it's known as a draw. So when a draw is caused when a stalemate is done, or when a draw is itself caused when only 2 kings are left. So now I'll tabulate the differences between checkmate and stalemate. So there's only one difference and there is one similarity. So I have explained the similarity and the differences twice, so I'm going to explain one last time. So in a stalemate, the king does not have any squares to go. In a checkmate also, the king does not have any squares to go. So this is the similarity. Now coming to the difference of checkmate and stalemate. In checkmate, the king is given a check, whereas in stalemate, the king is not given a check. So we can define checkmate as when the opponent's king or the opposite color king is given a check and does not have any squares to go, it is known as a checkmate. Now a stalemate, when the opponent's king does not have any squares to go and the last move is not a check. For example, suppose the last move is not a check, then that particular mate is known as stalemate. So in the game there are 2 types of mates. I've just explained them. I want them in the comment section below. So guys, I've explained everything needed for this video. So hope you all enjoyed the video. Hope you all found this helpful. I'm sorry if the video has extended for so long, but yes, it's all for a good cause, for you all to learn chess. So I want to give you guys a puzzle. I want you all to identify the mistake in the position arranged and comment in the comment section below. So just give me a minute. I'll just finish arranging it. Yes, I have I have finished arranging the board Please find out the mistakes found in this board, in the chess board to be specific, and please tell me the difference in the comment section below. This is all for a good cause. Hope you all learned something useful. I hope you all learned chess today. From tomorrow, maybe you all can become grandmasters in the future, defeating many crazy players like Magnus Carlsen or maybe Wesley So, girls like Judith Polgar, and going on with, there are many other players. Vishwanathan Anand from India. So Magnus from Norway, Magnus Carlsen. So there are many types of players. Please, spot out the difference in the arrangement. Hope you all have a nice day. Please play chess and be more good in chess, as I've taught you chess now. So thank you for watching, everyone. Please like the video, please share the video, please subscribe the video. Please comment below on the 3 questions asked. You can play the video again and again. I've asked you 3 questions till now, is what I think. So you all can give the 3 answers of the 3 questions which I asked in the comment section below. Hope you all had a very nice day. Hope you all learned something new. Thank you and see you. I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.